Felicity calling from GetYourRockOut. I'm here speaking to Veronika Vesper. So how are you today?
Hello, I'm doing very well. London, sun is up. Awesome. How are you?
That's what we like. I am in Manchester. The sun is most definitely not up. But, we're used to that, and so, yeah.
I'm sure we'll get there like tomorrow or something.
I hope so. I really hope so. I mean, probably not, but it's nice to think. And it's fantastic. I mean, the amount of stuff we've seen from you lately, it's been really interesting, and I think the place that you're coming from, music-wise, is very different to anybody else on the scene at the moment. And I mean, you're a Buddhist punk, and so it's something that people wouldn't necessarily think of going together at all. And so, how do you kind of marry the two sides of very, very different things? To kind of make you what you are.
You mean the Buddhist punk or the music?
Yeah. Well, I mean, both kind of one leading into the other, as it were.
Yeah, it's true actually. Well, it's been a long time for me to try to figure that out because I was always had this kind of two sides to me. Like, not that I'm a schizophrenic or anything, but it's just because I'm very wild and I like to rebel and I like to break concepts and do things which are a bit naughty all around. And at the same time, I consider myself as a nice and caring person. So some people say, you're like an angel or something. And at the same time, I'm like doing weird, wild things. And so gradually, I kind of realized that actually it's a part of one thing, that I am sort of an angel and I want to do good things and change the world and help people. But at the same time, I'm here to sort of break concepts and be like a liberatress. So I've realized that my wild side is sort of a call to inspire people to like liberate themselves a bit more. So I think that's how I eventually made sense of it, and now I'm really in peace with both. But it took a while, yeah.
Yeah, and have you had people being kind of angry at you and saying you can't call yourself a Buddhist if you're doing these kind of things or involved in this, and have you had people saying, well, you're obviously not a true punk if you're looking at this side of things too, or have people been supportive, and have you not had that kind of backlash?
Well, Buddhism in general, like I associate myself with Karma Kaji, which is Tibetan Buddhism, and it's not like for one, like Buddhism is not a religion, it's a teaching. It's classed as religion because people need to put things in boxes and organizations need to, but religare in Latin means to believe. But in Buddhism, there's nothing you have to believe. It's everything can be, you can experience it yourself or like prove it for yourself, because it's basically teaching about mind. There's no God. Buddha is not a God you have to believe in. It's a state of mind you're trying to achieve. And everyone has that. So, and generally, like, being a Buddhist, it's all about being happy and just like following your bliss and being cool with yourself. Like, nobody's telling you like you have to be this or you have to be that. It's like the most free, inverted comma, religion there is around, It's basically just a manual how to function better and help others while doing so.
Fantastic. And so do you, does the spirituality side of you come into your music, and do you feel that that's a huge driving force with the music?
Yes, definitely. I basically do music because I want to inspire people and I want to make their lives better, and it's part of the same, all of it is part of the same journey. But what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to be like kind of like a link for people who don't think they're spiritual, even though I think everyone is spiritual because we are spiritual beings. It's just, I guess that because there's so much like weird spiritual stuff on the market, like some people go, oh, I can't be involved with this because, I don't want to go to church or do this and have some restrictions. And, but I'm trying to, like, when you obviously haven't heard my album because it's not out yet, but even Fuck the Ego Fuck the Ego is like a completely Buddhist spiritual thing. There's like proper teaching in it. Like, it's about disturbing emotions, it's about ego and stuff, but I'm trying to like wrap it in a rave cool track so people can sing to it and be like, oh yeah, this is cool, but actually while they're doing it, like they think, oh, jealousy is actually not cool. Maybe I should do something about it. Or like anger, it's not hot. Like I know it's like in pop lyrics you can't quite like elaborate on it, and I don't want to be boring anyone with like some like so deep, long, complicated lyrics. But like generally, like everything I do is quite deep and thought about, I would say.
Fantastic. So. And I mean, it was, I think, the near-death experience that you had. Is that what focused you completely on thinking, actually, this is what I want to be doing? Was that a huge driving force in your decision to be doing what you're doing now?
Absolutely. There was a breaking point, because I always knew that I wanted to do this, but I didn't have the examples around me, so I didn't quite know like what to do and how to do it.
Wow. Okay.
So I was sort of like being in bands or doing like my own stuff, and then I became this classical flautist because sort of my parents wanted me to do it, and so I was like, okay, so I don't really feel comfortable with it, but let me just be the best I can be and try what it actually is, how it is to be a classical flautist accomplished, and then if I don't like it, then I can like easily say, right, so I've done this, but it's actually not for me, and without regrets I can leave. But what happened was that I became quite good, and I started touring with an orchestra, and while I was doing like electronic music, and I used to produce before, so I was kind of doing kind of like dance tracks with like made up language, weird stuff. And, and I was kind of getting quite comfortable in the fact, not like comfortable, like I wasn't happy, but I had a salary and I had a job, and I kind of felt like finally after some time a little bit more established in life, and when you like in your teenage years, you kind of feel a lot of insecurity about that fact, like, oh, am I going to get a job and what am I going to do? So when that kind of happened, I was like, oh, that's good. But I kind of knew that I can't stay there. And then I got sick and basically being told as a wrong diagnosis that I've got probably 2 or 3 years left to live. Although that was like a complete kick up my butt, because it was like, okay, right, great. So what am I actually doing? Like, why am I staying in something it's not making me happy? And then the thing is that I was going from something which I knew I could do and I could get paid for into something which is completely unknown. But, so it was hard for me to do it without knowing I'm going to die, because it's quite normal for people that were scared, and unless you realize it's something like terminal or that you're mortal and you really understand it fully, it's quite hard to make some changes, because it was literally like jumping off the cliff. Wow. And I was like, okay, right, so, if I'm going to be a classical flautist for the next 2 years, I'm going to hang myself for sure. So I just have to make a big change. So, so I just packed my bits and went to London.
Wow. And how were the family with that? I mean, were your parents?
They were absolutely shocked.
Now? Yeah.
They're absolutely shocked, because they didn't even know that my whole like trying to get best at playing flute and being an orchestra was just a way for me to prove to myself that I don't want to do it.
Right. Yeah.
And because I had a very wild kind of most of my teenage years were very, very wild. I'm not going to get into more details, but my parents were struggling a lot, and there was so they were kind of thinking, oh great, so she's like now kind of found herself and it's all going to be good. And then that happened. And also, I come from a classical music family from Prague, and kind of everyone knows me and us. And so it was sort of like I was locked in that sort of world. And so it was absolutely shock for them. And they didn't quite talk to me for like half a year or something, and then they were obviously like worried, like what I'm doing and stuff and that. And then it kind of started breaking when, like 3 years ago, I was doing some work for some library in Hollywood and just done a song for them, and and I gave them my Czech address. I don't know why that happened, but basically, like my father got like letters from Hollywood, like from me, saying and I was like, what's this? And like since then, it kind of started breaking, and it was like, oh, I'm not getting letters from Hollywood, bitch. Oh. So
wow.
Yeah, now they're like really happy that I've done it, and that they do understand that, I wouldn't be happy being an orchestra, and I need to be creative, and and my mum's got like all my songs on repeat, and I'm like, Mum, it's like 60 songs, you can't be listening to them on repeat all the time.
Oh wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
That's
so
fantastic.
it's all good.
And do you think that you ever might bring more of an orchestral element into what you're doing now and mixing the two, or is that just not something that you have any desire to do?
Yeah, I'll definitely do that for sure.
Oh no, that's exciting.
Yeah.
No, that is exciting. And I think, I mean, your music is so, from what I've heard of it, obviously there've only been a couple of videos that I have heard, of the latest, but it's really, really interesting, and it seems to me to be as though you're just completely not afraid to experiment with anything. And do you think that you're going to be basically experimenting as much as possible, with the music, and that you're constantly going to be changing, or do you very much want to find a sound and stick to it?
Absolutely not. I'm going to be changing all the time. I already struggle with the fact that I kind of need to stay kind of in one vein while I'm doing this album, and it's still going to be a while until the album comes out. The main thing I struggle with is my hair. I used to have different hair all the time. Like I would be dyeing I would have blue fringe and red fringe and green fringe, and before I started working with stylists and stuff, it was if you look at my profile, you would not even know who this person is, because I look every time completely different, and then everyone was like, okay, right, so people need to recognize who you are, and you need to start being a bit more on your brand. And I'm like, okay,
wow.
so I'm just gonna have black hair, black ponytail, and I'm gonna die from boredom. So that's what's happening.
Wow.
But
you need to get some wigs. You need to just invest in a load of wigs.
I wear wigs in my free time. Yesterday I had a red wig when I went to see Lady Gaga, and today I've got really bad hair, so I'm probably gonna have a purple wig. So,
that's absolutely brilliant.
But when I'm going as Vesper, I have to have balding black hair. But I'm putting more dreadlocks in now. But no, I do understand that my team is saying when a million people will know that you've got black ponytail and black fringe shaved sides, you can change it. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
better get on that one. But yeah, sorry, I got carried away with the hair.
But I totally understand. I totally understand. I started, because I do a lot of video interviews, and I dyed my hair bright red a couple of years ago, and I can't change it now. Nobody would know who I was. And so I understand completely. And I'm just spending a fortune at the hairdressers, and it's just, they're like, do you want to try something different? And I'm like, no, that's just never going to happen. This is it for life. So,
for life.
I get it. I think
maybe maybe we can have a goal together. Then when we're famous, a million people know what hair we have, we can change them.
Fantastic! You've got yourself a deal. I like it.
Yeah, but music-wise, I definitely, I'm already starting to work on my second album a little bit. And
really?
It's
fantastic.
It's gonna be very different. Yeah. No, I always want to be changing because it's definitely
fantastic.
As a musician and as an artist, I think that's how you live. You need to take risks, and whatever comes to you, you kind of work on that. And I don't know how I struggle to even be kind of holding the same sound and concept during the whole album,
Wow.
because it's just I get bored easily, I guess.
No, it's understandable, but I would agree. I mean, the creativity is. You can't work in a creative industry without being creative with it, I don't think. And I think that if you try to, try to be we're going to sound like this forever, then I just think that bands lose so much when they start trying that. But I guess when someone is let's say a guitarist, so they just play songs with guitar, it kind of makes sense that that's what they kind of do. Yes.
But I just, I've got so many influences, I've spent many years on techno parties, rave parties, and I pretty much grew up sleeping at classical concerts when I was 2 already.
Oh, wow.
And then I was involved with jazz quite a lot. I love death metal, I love rap. I just there's loads of things. So
wow,
musical.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Memories, not a song from the pain. It's all coming.
That's brilliant. No, that works for me. So yeah, I mean, for the second album, you're starting to work on it already. That is amazing.
Well, it's just in my spare time, my producer's oh, you need to get the first album out there first. What are you doing? But I want to avoid the fact when the moment where you get busy and then all of a sudden you have to do a second album and you have 3 months to do it, and it's shit.
Yeah.
because it
No,
takes
definitely.
time for things to ripen and make sense.
No, definitely. I think that is very, very true. And when it comes to the plans, I mean, shows-wise, I think there's the Halloween special that's coming up. But when can we expect like a full UK tour to kick in? Is that something that you're planning on doing at some point soon? Or even, not UK?
It's actually something in the making right now, but I can't really talk about it because it's all being. But
okay, so
I do think that I can actually say that something quite big is happening in July. I'm doing a big event. It's called Rock Against Trafficking. It's a charity thing, and it's associated with Sting and happening in I think it's Manchester
fantastic.
Arena. Yeah, I'm doing an arena gig in July. So.
Oh, that's amazing. I will look forward to that.
And I was like, it's 20,000 people capacity. And I was in the O2 yesterday, and I was thinking, and my manager was like, so how much people is in here? I was like, I don't know, 50,000 or something. He's like, no, it's not 50,000, it's like 20. And I was like, Googling that, and I realized, oh, wow, so this is 20,000, and this is where I'm gigging, like, in July, so that's great.
Oh, that's incredible. Oh, no, I have to make sure I get down to that one.
Yeah, I can't wait. I just want to do stadiums every day.
Yes, it's understandable. I mean, it would be all right if you had to. I guess you could cope with it.
No, I'm saying I do want to do stadiums every day.
No, definitely. And when it comes to kind of the album stuff, what's the plan with the launch, and what's the plan with what you're going to be doing around that?
Well, the album at the moment we're planning to release some point early next year. Well, that's all I can really tell you at the moment.
Okay, fantastic. But it's gonna be earlier rather than kind of summer kind of time.
I think it's gonna be like March, April.
Okay, fantastic.
I would imagine.
Fantastic. No, I mean,
but the first single is scheduled for February.
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's great, and I think the reaction I've seen as well to the stuff that you put out already from it, it's just been brilliant, and people seem to be really getting behind it.
Yeah. No, I've got also amazing fans that, it's just so nice that I'm only getting started, like in a public eye, and the people are behind me already, and it's just, because, it's sometimes, obviously this industry makes you feel very vulnerable, and it's like when you knew, like, all the press and everyone's like, oh, who's this? And everyone's like waiting for someone else to say, this is good. So, it's just nice to, have a lot of support from them.
Definitely. And I think the thing is, I think there's so much that's similar out there, and so much of the same thing that I think people really do get behind it when it does turn into something new. And when somebody like you comes up doing something that nobody's done before in so many ways, something that is obviously different from everything else that's coming out. And I think that press and the industry really does get behind that more and more now, which is, I think, brilliant to see.
Yeah, no, I think it's generally like for all the people who are different through the history of pop music, it always takes longer to break through, because it's like people don't know what box they should put you in, and then eventually, I think that you kind of set for a long-term career rather than just, blowing up at one hit and just that was cool at that week, and then so it's kind of like a disadvantage and advantage in the same time that I don't go after trends, like there's obviously drum and bass and Suffocate, but it's because like drum and bass is sort of coming back, but it's just because of my background and because it works for the song. It's not. I'm not going to be doing like a trap breakdown there just because that's the current thing.
Good. Well, no, I think it's definitely a good thing to see. And I think next year is just going to be a fantastic year for you. I'm really excited about seeing, what comes up and what happens. And it really has been an utter pleasure to chat to you.
And to you, amazing questions. I was quite surprised about the spiritual ones. Like, nobody's ever asked me that before.
Oh, really? Oh, no, I find it, oh, no, well, I'm surprised that they haven't. I find it fascinating. I love, kind of seeing where people come from with the music. That, to me, is just as interesting as the music itself, and, seeing what's brought about. So I love it. I really do. And yeah, I mean, I have no doubt that I'm gonna speak to you at some point soon about something else very soon. Yeah, I will look forward to that.
Awesome.
So brilliant. Well, yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Amazing questions, and have a wonderful day.
Well, thank you. You too.